today's video, we're going to be having a look at some trades from overnight. We're also going to be having a talk about Vanguard, stimulus, and of course, what's going on with Brexit today. Hello, and welcome to another acysecurities daily report. The first thing I'm looking at today is on the pound dollar. We've had a bit of luck overnight with a couple of trades that have been going on, and I thought I'd point this one out to you as well. So this is a monthly chart of the pound dollar. We can see that it's been heading down, and really it's been in a bit of a sideways range at the immediate moment, at least on a monthly chart. When we have a crack down to the 15-minute chart, we've had quite a few different opportunities, starting off with the yellow box circle behind me, a little bit of what looks to be a double top pattern. Luckily, whilst we were in our webinars last night, we did identify this and were able to get in on it, but that was not the full scope of the trend. We got this moving on throughout later in the day. Now, effectively, the plan of action behind this is what we see, where I'm going to lay it out for you now. We've had the trend line rolling up. We've then identified a continuation pattern of a double bottom, and it's continued to rock on from there. This is where we've put our entry point, and we've let it run, and I've still got mine running today. But ultimately, this wouldn't have been the best position you could have gotten in on. You could have gotten in on this one here at the very bottom. This would have enabled you to get the full run of the trend, but alas, we don't always get the opportunity, or we don't see them right away because we're waiting for a confirmation on the direction that we might be heading in. So I've gotten the first one in yellow, and I've gotten my second box a bit further up in blue, but I didn't get the one in green. Either way though, I've been up about 100 pips for the night so far, but I'm still waiting to see how far it goes, and I'm going to continue to trail my stop up behind. Now, moving on, we've heard again about stimulus. Stimulus just seems to be the thing that's going on, but it's looking like this time Congress might actually be about to make it rain. They're going to be looking at doing a $748 billion spending program that's going to go direct as an injection into the economy. Now, at this stage, it's not 100% confirmed, but we've heard from Mitch McConnell, who is saying that he's going to force lawmakers to sit at Washington until a deal is done. So this is a very promising sign that we might actually get a little bit of stimulus before the end of the year. And it can't come quick enough. We're already starting to see economic indicators that are starting to slow down, such as our employment side of things, of course, sales and everything else that goes along with it. It does also impact how we might think about Fed action this week. If stimulus does come along, then expect it to be a little bit more on the guidance side. And they're obviously going to be watching this situation very closely, because today they will be having their meeting. Tomorrow they will be making announcements. So if we do get a deal by EOD on the US session, then we may not actually end up getting any more stimulus coming from a monetary side. Instead, we will end up getting a little bit of guidance about what's in their toolbox, like we spoke about yesterday. Now, moving on, we've also had a bit of reaction on the S&P 500 from this sort of news. Over the last sort of 24 hours, we've seen a little bit of action. This move that we've got down the bottom here, another double bottom. So we've seen quite a few patterns this week. It's probably worth keeping an eye out on them. There's also on the euro dollar at this point in time a head and shoulders pattern that you can check out on FinLogix if you want to have a bit of a look at it. Now, of course, with all patterns, they don't always play out, but they do give you a bit of an indicator or an area to look for when you might be considering to take a trade. Now, moving on from there and all the trading side of things, Vanguard have become one of the largest companies on the planet with a $1.04 trillion ETF fund. Now, Vanguard actually originated the idea or birthed the conception of ETFs. So it's no wonder that they've been the first company to have an ETF reach the $1.04 trillion mark. Now, of course, looking at what's gone on behind the scenes with this, we've had US stocks fueling a lot of the money, and they've also been reducing the amount of fees. They don't have high fees. They are really the ones pushing the boundaries on this mark, which we would expect from a company like Vanguard anyway. So that is something that's a little bit out of the ordinary for you to have a look at today. Now, outside of that, we're talking about Brexit again, and I know that Brexit keeps going on and on and on. I certainly feel like Ryan Reynolds in this picture every time I talk about Brexit or even say the word. But today, we're a little bit positive again. Yesterday, we were quite pessimistic about the idea of a deal going through. Today, we've heard from Michael Barnier, the chief negotiator from the EU, who feels that he can see a pathway to an agreement of some kind. Of course, we haven't quite heard too much from Boris Johnson just yet, but I'm sure he'll say something similar. Either way, they've both said that there are two significant issues that they need to get across the line, which we have spoken about in depth before, And those two things are the single sailed market of the EU and, of course, the fishing side of things. So until we get really a resolution around those, they are the only two outstanding problems that are stopping an agreement. Should they get past that and get it through before this weekend, then it is likely we're going to see some form of a trade agreement for the UK and the EU. Now, for the news ahead of today, we do have a little bit. The most important one for me to be watching is going to be tonight, US dollar retail sales. And the reason for this is because this is one of those metrics, those indicators that the Fed is going to be paying close attention to. They want to see whether this has gone up or down. If it's gone down, then obviously you can anticipate the Fed is going to be wanting to monitor that quite closely, along with some of the other ones as well. Now, out of the other places, we've got out of the UK, CPI, PPI, and RPI. We also have flash services and manufacturing PMIs coming out of the UK later tonight. And for Europe, we have French and German flash services PMIs as well. Now, that's all I've got for you today so far, but if you do have any questions, perhaps it's from the webinar last night, perhaps it's from today on the videos that we're doing, or it could be from anything else entirely, feel free to shoot me an email at talktoal@acy.com. And don't forget to like and subscribe this video to get more great content from me and ACY Securities in the future. Have a great trading day ahead.